Good morning and welcome to Creative Marketing TV. My name is Susan Joy Schlief, and I'm very excited today to welcome my special guest, Anna Scheller, who is just in the publishing process with her new book called Closing with Confidence. Or actually, I think it's called Black Belt Selling, Closing with Confidence, named after her Black Belt Selling radio show. So I'm very happy to have Anna here today. Anna, welcome to Creative Marketing TV.
Oh, well, thank you for having me, Susan. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. Well, Anna, let's jump right in and tell our audience of entrepreneurs and professionals and small business owners a little bit about your background and about the wonderful name of Black Belt Selling. Where did that come from and how did you become an expert on selling?
Well, thank you. Thanks again for having me. I am an entrepreneur myself. I've been in business for over 12 years. And when I first got started, I was afraid to talk to people. And after, which is unusual because I love to talk. But that being the case, it was hard for me to try to influence people to buy from me whatever I was selling. And when I got started, it was real estate. It was rental properties and that kind of thing. And so after 9 years of struggle, someone recommended that I get professional sales training. And it all started to make sense to me what was wrong with what I was doing and how I could fix that. So I started studying sales, and then I suddenly realized I had a talent because I started sharing the information with other people and they were getting results. Uh-huh. So it just became a natural fit for me to not only practice what I preach, but share what I preach with other people. And you asked about the black belt selling part of my name, and it's because I'm a third degree black belt in Taekwondo, and I found that the drive, the characteristics, the disciplines that it took to become a black belt applied equally to sales and business. And so we've married, my daughter and I, we have the radio show together. We've married those into what we call black belt selling now.
Great. I know, you and I have been working together for quite a while, and I never really heard quite that explanation about the skills, and we should go into that a little bit more on this show here and talk about what some of those skills are. But first, I just want to say I didn't realize you'd been in business for that long, so that's very impressive. And I know I heard you say that you had increased your business dramatically after that first year of coaching. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
That's the amazing thing about sales training. Previous to that, I was untrained, and so I only had maybe 1 or 2 lead generation systems. Plus, I was reluctant to really promote what I was doing. It kind of went against the grain of my background of through church and all of that. And so when I started studying with Eric Lofholm, I realized it was very important as part of my service to people to let them know what I could do for them. And then I began to explore other ways of getting leads, one of which is public speaking. And I started to use public speaking to share with people what I was doing. And just that alone, plus just being more aggressive, learning how to speak to people, I was able to grow our business over 50% that first year. And I took our company over $500,000 that year.
Wow, that is impressive. And it's very impressive to have that much in 1 year. I love it.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about what some of those skills are that you learned from Eric, who, as you know, I've also been studying with for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. And it helped me tremendously as well to learn how to talk to people about my business. So I can relate to that. But let's go back to those skills, what you learned from Eric, how that relates to the martial arts skills as well. Let's expand on that a little bit.
Okay. Well, the first thing that I learned was that mindset was everything, and that was a pretty critical key for me. And that's also an extremely critical key when you're looking at getting a black belt. You have to have the mindset, first of all, that you're going to succeed. I didn't have that mindset, and that was a lot of the struggle that I was having, was getting the right ideas about success, realizing that success wasn't about me, but it was about serving as many people as possible.
Yes.
You know, and success is also, you have to see it. You have to absolutely see it. And I can't emphasize that strongly enough, Susan, because I remember when I was going for my first black belt, and I'm going to digress a little with this story because it illustrates this powerful point. So when I was invited to be a black belt, there was a lot of talk in our school about the first black belt class. And I figured, I was an older person. I was in my late 40s at the time. And I certainly was not as gifted, as trained, as skilled as a lot of the younger students. So I didn't even consider myself to be in the running. Then my instructor approached me and said, I want to invite you to the black belt training. And at first it was exciting, and then it was frightening because I didn't see that I could do it. One day, I suddenly realized that I had to already see myself as a black belt in order to perform as a black belt. That literally changed it changed everything for me, because now I saw every move as a black belt move. I saw every practice as strengthening myself as a black belt, so that when the black belt was tied around my waist, it was simply somebody else affirming to everybody else what I already knew inside. And you have to take that success, and you have to see yourself succeeding in sales, because there can be so many challenges when you're out there talking to people about your product or services.
Wow, that really resonates for me. And actually, I think that's something I need to look at in my own business as well. It's something I've struggled with. You know, I haven't had a really fast time getting my business going, and so I'm always second guessing myself. So I love what you said about having to see yourself as a black belt in order to be able to do the moves as a black belt. That really struck home for me. So
Well,
thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. See, I see you as a black belt. You have skills that I don't have, and that's why we work together.
Right, right. Oh, that's great. Anna, let's diverge a little bit here and talk about some of the things you've been doing this past year to get your business message out there. And actually, we should talk about that you actually have two businesses, right? So let's have you touch on that, and then talk about what you've been doing with Periscope and Blab and your radio show and things like that.
Like I'm not doing enough, right?
Yeah.
Well, I do have two businesses. So the business that drove me to get sales training is a corporate housing business. That's a business whereby we provide alternatives to travelers and business executives, consultants, to hotels. So we provide furnished apartments, and we completely set everything up for them. And most companies like that because it's a great benefit to their employees, and it can be a carrot to hold out to people in order to get them to join your company, a great recruiting tool. So we've been doing that for on and off we've been doing it steadily for 5 years, and that grew out of our real estate rental business. Okay. And then, of course, the second business is sales training, which I thoroughly love because I love helping people. I hope you can see that.
I can, definitely. And that's really, I think, where you've been using most of these new techniques, right, is to expand your sales coaching practice.
Yes.
So how did you and Stephanie get started with the radio show?
Well, it was actually Eric's recommendation. So Stephanie was in sales and didn't see the need for training. She was pretty successful until she actually met Eric in person. And then she took sales she became a silver protege and learned what she didn't know she didn't know.
Right.
And, as we all do, that's why it's so important for people to get training. But that's a whole, if we have time, we can touch on that. And so Stephanie and I decided we wanted to grow a business together. And we began, one of the things that Eric talks about is putting in the reps. And in black belt terms, that's practice, practice, practice. So we decided that the best way to do that was to set up a weekly conference call where we would just begin to practice teaching people. And we would get a few people on and off here. And we were in a coaching session with Eric, and he said, you really should do a radio show. And we're like, oh, how do you do that? So we just, what we did? We didn't do much research. We found a platform, and we just got started. So the radio show, Black Belt Selling, has been running now for a year and a half. And I just started my own radio show on the Amazing Women of Power Network. It's also a sales show. And that just got started about a month ago. And that's been exciting because that's a whole new audience. It's a different group of people. And I'm learning a lot from Raven. She's teaching me a lot about radio that I didn't know. Again, you don't know what you don't know. So that's how we got started in radio.
Great. Yeah, I didn't even know you had started your own show, so I'll have to check that out.
Oh, great.
And I know you've also expanded this year to using Periscope and Blab and doing some webinars. So I'm sure there's more to come, but why don't you talk a little bit about those new platforms and how you're using them?
Those two, well, Blab and Periscope are powerful platforms for a couple of reasons. One is they are live streaming. And so you are interacting live with people. You are engaging people. And Periscope, it's through chat. So there are techniques to learn in Periscope in order to get more engagement, because people are on Periscope. They're not there just to watch a show. It's not TV. It's different from YouTube. It is about engagement. And then Blab is different because now you have up to four people all interacting who can actually see each other. So both platforms have been really, really critical in growing my sales coaching business because both platforms are also connected to Twitter. And the good thing about Twitter and the powerful thing about Twitter is that people who are on Twitter are looking for trends. People who are on Twitter are more likely to buy from you than, let's say, Facebook, which is a much more social, personal type of platform.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say this last week I had 16 people signed up for one of my free webinars, and all of them came through Blab and Twitter. All of them came through Blab and Twitter. And so I'm hoping later this year to actually do some training to teach people about the power of Twitter, just because I've seen the power of it in my own business.
Yeah, that's great. And, of course, we're live streaming now, but right. I don't know. I actually can't see from where I am right now whether we have anybody actually here live. Often I don't. Most people have been catching this. Oh, we do have one viewer, says. Welcome.
Oh, nice. Welcome.
Whoever is here, if you want to leave a comment in the chat on the Google Plus event page or on the YouTube page, then we'll check later if you have any questions. But welcome.
I love questions. I love questions.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So, Anna, let's talk a little bit about your book. You have a book and a CD set that I've been helping you with the design for. So
yes,
talk about how that came along and where it is and what information is in there that people should check out.
Well, first let me talk about the CD set. What we decided to do, and the funny thing about the CD set is this came about as my daughter and I were getting ready to do an event together, and she said, Mom, what deliverable do we have? And I said, well, I don't know, which is very unclear. But she said, we should put together a CD set. So to be honest, I ran out got some CDs from Walmart, and I made up like 25 one night in about 6 hours. And they were, you know, very, everything was on one CD. And then we realized that this was a powerful tool to help people who may not be able to live stream or did, you know, for whatever reason. So what we did is we decided to take our top 5 shows, well, actually top 4 shows, all having to do with closing, and we put them in an actual really nice CD set. And then we also have bonuses. So when people get the CD set, there's also going to be there is a website listed on there that you can go to get a bonus track also about closing. And so this is really a powerful tool for people to take in their car, because we know a lot of people are still listening to CDs when they're traveling, when they're in traffic. And then out of the CDs, someone told me, why don't you create a book? I'm like, how do you do that? And so what I did for my first book is that I took the interview that we did with Eric, which was our very first interview and one of our most popular interviews, and I've turned that into a book with some of my own commentary. And then at the end of the book, there are questions to help you implement the suggestions that Eric is talking about in his interview in the book. And so I'm planning to use it as a coaching tool to help people find areas that they need to grow their confidence, because the name of the book is Closing with Confidence. And the idea is that the person who is more confident when 2 people meet is more likely to influence the other person's decision. So confidence is key and extremely important when it comes to closing.
Yeah, and that's where the training is so helpful, right? Because you get to learn what are the best things to say when you're ready to close. You practice it, and so by the time you get there, you are confident because you know what you're going to say, as opposed to thinking, oh no, I'm almost done here, I'm getting to the close, I wonder how it's going to go. You know how it's going to go because you know what you're going to say. So
exactly. And a good coach is going to help you dig deep to get the resources that you already have within you. See, I believe everybody that's interested in training, anybody that's in business, has these resources. They're just untapped, or maybe they're afraid to use them because they don't know how. You know, Susan, some people are actually afraid of their own power. They're afraid that they're too powerful, and then they're afraid they're going to manipulate. And the truth of the matter is, with proper training, you're not going to manipulate. You're going to learn how to serve people. And that's the key to selling, is learning how to serve other people.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it actually leads me to another question. I know a lot of people have resistance, whether they're aware of it or not. Sometimes it's unconscious, but sometimes it's very conscious. People don't like the idea of selling. It has a bad reputation in our society. So talk a little bit about how you can help people overcome that sales resistance and why they should overcome it.
Oh, exactly. One, let me just emphasize, it's critical to overcome your own sales resistance, because your view of sales, if you begin to move into a sales conversation and you believe that you are doing a disservice to sell somebody, you will not be successful as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. Rather, it's important to recognize your sales resistance. And I take people through a process to help them recognize their own sales resistance. And then what we do is we talk about how to change the way we think, because now we're dealing with mindset. And at the beginning of our show today, I talked about the power of mindset, which is really a lot of what a black belt has to deal with, because we're always fighting against ourselves. We're always having to deal with the limiting beliefs, and sales resistance is one of them. So we talk about, I share an affirmation that I encourage people to use at least 10 times a day for 30 days. And that seems kind of excessive, but the fact of the matter is, if you have a deeply ingrained belief that sales is bad, you have to work to dig those roots out and get rid of them so that you can go into a sales conversation with confidence that you're there and you're going to make their world, your prospects' world, a better place. And just really quickly, we change our beliefs through language. And that's why affirmations are so important, because what you hear yourself say is what you're going to end up thinking. And affirmations are just very, very powerful. Powerful.
I would add, yes, we change it through language, but we also change it through images, through pictures. And that's part of what you're doing when you do the affirmations, is you're creating a mental picture of how you would like to be different, right? That's what you talked about before, seeing yourself as a black belt.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, perfect. And that's why vision boards are so powerful.
Yep. Yeah.
That's why they are. And that's what makes what you do, Susan, so powerful, because you help people create images that are positive and give information and give a message. That's why I just love what you do.
Thank you. Yeah, that is a big part of my work, because it's what we're talking about now is how to change that message in yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's also, how do you get your message across to your audience so that they really understand what it is that you're offering them? So it taps into an emotional level for them, not because you want to understand customer psychology and trick them into buying from you. It's because you really want to help them make a change, right? I know that's what drives your business, your sales coaching particularly.
Yes, and the most powerful reinforcement for me is when someone comes back to me and says, Anna, it worked. Anna, I made more money. Thank you. That's, yes, I need to be paid, but what's more rewarding to me is knowing that I've made a difference in someone's life, in someone's business. Because what is the number one worry that most entrepreneurs have, Susan? It's money.
Yeah.
It's money. Where am I gonna get the money to pay the next bill? Am I gonna, how do I create more revenue? And of course, sales training, we help people create more revenue by giving them skills they can practice and become confident with in order to influence people to purchase their product or service.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier in the interview some techniques that you wanted to talk about for how you can help people improve their sales results and increase their revenue. Why don't you talk a little bit about how sales coaching actually works, and why our entrepreneurs and small business owners and professionals, even professionals, should learn some sales skills. We certainly don't think of lawyers and doctors needing to sell, but it's persuasion, and they do need to know, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sales is nothing more than learning how to be persuasive and influence people. So if you woke up this morning and you had to ask your child to take the dog outside, that was a sales conversation. And you closed on it. Now, how you closed on it, that's a whole different animal. But there's a couple of thoughts here, and I'll be brief because I know we're coming to the end of the show. One is that if you take the black belt mindset, what we tell people is a black belt is a white belt that never quit. The idea behind that is that you're always learning, you're always improving, you're always getting better. And the way you do that is through coaching and instruction and training, because you don't know what you don't know. You don't know how you can improve your techniques. And so training, first of all, will help you get on the right path. And coaching, the coaching is imperative, because without coaching, you're not you're going to struggle to get to the next level. A good coach is going to help you push through to the next level much more quickly and get the results you want faster.
That's great. Yeah, I know. I certainly believe in coaching. It's helped me a great deal. So, Anna, do you have, I don't know if we talked about this ahead of time, do you have some kind of a free offer that people can go check out, or where do you want to send them to learn more about black belt selling? Maybe give them
Well,
how they can find the radio show too would be helpful, right?
yes, absolutely. So I have a free self-assessment that you can get from me. And it's not up on my website yet. That's how brand new it is. So I'm going to encourage people to contact me at my email address, Anna Jo Scheller. I guess I should have had a something up.
We can put it in the comments under the replay when we're done. So
okay, so Anna Jo Scheller at gmail.com, and in the subject line state free assessment, free assessment. And then once you go over that, then we'll make a 30-minute coaching session. It'll be free, and we'll go over what you've learned and where you need to get more training. And then we'll talk about resources at that point. But that's one thing. Now, if you want to follow my 2 radio shows, which is phenomenal that I've got 2 now, my daughter and I are on Blog Talk Radio. So you go to blogtalkradio.com/black belt selling, and there'll be a little follow button there. You click on that button, and you will receive, every time we set up an episode, every time we go live, you'll receive a notification, and you can join us live, or you can listen to the replay, because it's also on-demand streaming, so you can listen to it at your convenience. And then my other radio show is The Amazing Women of Power, and perhaps we could do another one where I can talk about that. I don't want to overload your audience with too much information.
That's fine. We have a couple more minutes yet, because I know we started a little late, but I don't see any questions from our 2 viewers that we have now. So welcome to both of you. And if you do have a question, please go ahead and type it in the chat, and we'll see if Anna can answer it for you. And if not, we can answer in the chat later underneath the replay page. Anna,
absolutely.
Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you would like to talk about before we get ready to wrap up here?
Well, one thing I would really encourage people to do, whether you move forward with my free offer or not, is I would really like to encourage people to think about writing out what you say to people. The scripting is a very powerful piece that's critical for growing confidence. You were talking about earlier how important it is to know in advance what you're going to say, and that builds a lot of confidence. Eric tells a story of an emergency session he did with a man named Scott, and Scott was about to lose his business because he wasn't making enough money to keep his studio. He was a photographer. And so Eric sat down with him, and they scripted his close. And so Eric said, I want you to practice this 20 times. Well, the guy didn't practice it 20 times. He practiced it 200 times.
Wow.
But you know what happened? The next time he was with a customer, he knew the direction he wanted to go. And even though he didn't follow the script as closely as he thought he should have, because he was more confident, because he knew how he wanted to lead people, he closed the sale. He used to sell $600 packages. He now sells $60,000 packages. And it all came out of knowing what he was going to say, how he was going to lead people. And that's the power of scripting and the power of sales training.
Yeah, it is really powerful. And I love the way you tell that story. It's great. So, Anna, it's been a real pleasure having you on the show today. Just tell people one more time where they can follow your radio show and the name of your book and CD set that they can look for the CDs are not on Amazon, are they? It's just the book will be.
No, just the book.
It's not up there yet, but
not yet. Very close. Very, very close. So the radio show is blogtalkradio.com/black belt selling. Click the follow button there. And if you're interested in the free self-assessment, you can contact me at annascheller@gmail.com. Put free assessment in the subject line. Or if you're interested in the CDs, put CDs in the subject line, and I'll get back with you, and I'll help you get both of those things.
Great. And this is what it's like when you're working with somebody who's doing so much, and the back end technology sometimes doesn't keep up. But
right.
Anna and I and another colleague of ours are working on getting that stuff all up for her. So it's been great having you on the show today, Anna, and keep working those black belt moves.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Susan. It was a delight to be here today.
Great. Thank you. And thank you to all of our listeners and viewers. And again, this is Creative Marketing TV.